Welcome to the next edition of Narrative Unsuppressed Gun Talk Radio. I'm Sean Utley. With me, I have Scott Lambin, and we have a very special show. Happy to introduce a South African friend of mine by the name of Gordon Brace.
Gordon, you didn't come too far for this, did you? You didn't travel too far for this, huh?
Just across the pond. Yeah.
Just across the pond. So let me give you a little background on Gordon. Gordon runs an outfitter called Zulani Safari.
Yeah.
Now, is that in Polokwane or is that in Limpopo province?
It's in the North Limpopo province of South Africa.
Limpopo province,
close
okay.
to Polokwane. Yeah.
All right. So it's an outfitter. He does guided hunts, and I was introduced to Gordon back in 2014.
Yeah, that's right.
Went to South Africa for my first hunt ever. I'd never hunted, and I decided to go to South Africa. And Gordon was my guide. So we wanted to have Gordon in today to talk about what he does and various other topics around hunting and shooting. So thank you for coming, Gordon.
Oh, you're welcome.
If you will, just kind of fill everybody in about Zulani Safari, what you do, and what it's about.
Well, I've been in the hunting game since I was 9, and I'm 64, so it's been a while. And I started promoting game farms as a conservation tool many, many years ago when there were only like 10 registered game farms. There's now 10,000 of us. Back in those days, there was about 500,000 head of game. There's now estimated between 18 and 22 million. It's purely through hunting and trophy hunting especially. So it's been a major success story. We're actually 4 times bigger than the state now in land put aside for wildlife. So that's been my main motivation. Of course, I got to pay the bills. So
Right.
We like to come over to America and get American hunters. I do take internationals from other parts of the world, but mostly my hunters come from America. And the Limpopo province is the prime hunting area of South Africa. And it's all the marginal lands that shouldn't have cattle and goats and sheep and crops on have actually been returned to wildlife because of hunters. So that has been my main motivation to keep my place going and promoting hunting in South Africa.
So when you come over here, you're in the States, I don't know, for a few weeks, I think, usually when you come over. What is it that you're doing while you're here? Tell me about your promotional efforts. What are you telling people when you meet and talk with them? Tell me kind of how that goes down.
I've been coming for many years. I go to the different chapters, the different shows. We set up, we got a booth there. People come around and talk to us at the shows. I do have private functions I go to as well. But mostly it's going from one chapter to another and just letting people know what we have and what we offer. And it's surprisingly enough, 60 to 70% of my business is actually referrals. It's only about 30 to 40% marketing. But it's necessary. We need to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before we get into some of the game and hunting opportunities in your area, let me speak a little bit to the listeners. We're really trying to talk to some of those guys. There's a lot of us that have a lot of guns. We do a lot of shooting and a lot of training at shooting at paper. Maybe we take some carbine classes, pistol, long range. I am a guy that falls into that category, but I wanted to do something else. I'm not necessarily a tree stand hunter kind of guy. I don't know about you, Scott. I don't find that I've tried to do something like that and it just didn't work out well. So I wanted something where I could get what I felt was the most bang for my buck. So that's why I went over to Africa.
Yeah, I mean, for me, growing up in the western side of Illinois in the Midwest, we're typically known for the deer, the white-tailed deer out there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I grew up as a upland bird hunter, pheasants and duck and quail and things like that, primarily because the influences I had in my life at the time, my dad, he wasn't into deer hunting, but my grandpa and my uncle and all my cousins, they were like took off from school to go deer hunting during the 2 seasons that we had. As I got older, again, like Sean said, I come from the tactical shooting background. So what I've kind of felt was, interesting to me as it pertained to hunting, wasn't sitting in a tree stand. Sean and I went to a friend of mine's farm in Georgia to hunt pigs a couple years ago. We tried the stand thing for about, I don't know, Sean, an hour, maybe 2.
Yeah. I fell asleep. I think you posted a picture of me asleep in the tree stand.
Yeah, we did on the brass tacks. Yes,
that's why I didn't
Sean
go
fell
so
asleep up there. But what really excited Sean and I both about that hunt was, one, we've never hunted pigs before, and 2, we were always moving. The pigs that we both actually shot down there, we heard them over a hill. We low crawled up the hill and shot down onto them, a spot and stalk type of deal. That's what interests me. When you have to go to them not come to you. So, the short answer is I've tried stand hunting a couple times. Not really my thing. Hunting an animal, I'm sure you can go on for days, and you're probably going to expound a little bit on this. And if you can, I would like you to. Hunting animals in their environment is hunting. Having animals come to you, there is a level of hunting, but there's more of an element of killing, right? If that makes any sense.
Yeah, we differentiate. We say shooting and hunting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I've obviously never been to South Africa or Africa to hunt, or Africa at all. Been a lot of other places, but never to your continent. That probably rings more true in Africa than anywhere else. The hunting versus killing aspect, since pretty much anything that is breathing down there can kill you. We were talking about black mambas a little bit ago. Everything from lions and the snakes and the everything. So when you hunt, you have to hunt.
Yeah, we do have bow hunters that come out where they will sit in hides or water holes. We do not allow rifle hunters to do that unless they're severely handicapped. I have a pair of high-tech shoes that I walked out in one season. So we do a lot of walking, and it depends on the level of fitness of each hunter. We will, cater for hunters that maybe cannot walk too fast. If they can, if they fit, I prefer that. Yes, it's proper hunting, proper stalking. You get down, you get dirty, you walk sometimes for miles, and hunting's opportunity. You can go out and get your animal within half an hour. Another time you're going to go out for hours.
They're going to make you work for it.
They're going to make you work for it. Yeah. And they're pretty wild. As Sean will tell you, they don't stand around waiting for you. It's not like a game reserve where they're looking at you. So it's you have to hunt the animals, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah, that was. We did a lot of walking. Like you said, we had a couple of animals that, we happened upon relatively quickly, and I think I remember one day was I want to say it was that second zebra that you might pronounce it.
Zebra,
I want to say that was about 7 hours. On that one, of stalking it and separating it from the herd, and I still remember the barking noise that they make, and I thought it was a dog. You probably don't remember any of this, and I'm just like, what is that dog doing? Like, where's that dog sound coming from? And you're like, oh, that's the zebra. I'm like, all righty then. So I'm not very experienced. So while we're on that topic, let's talk about the game types. So someone says, okay, I'm going to make this trip over to South Africa. I'm going to go through the process. What can they expect as far as game? What types of hunts do you provide?
Well, the standard package we offer, it's 5 animals on a 7-day hunt, or 7 animals on a 10-day hunt. The amount of plains game that you have in Limpopo province, the variety of species is unbeatable. There's nowhere in the world, let alone in Africa. I mean, we don't have the huge migrations that they have in Kenya and Tanzania, but the variety of game On my place is about 25 different species. The standard package we offer, we give a choice between a gemsbuck, an oryx, and a zebra, and then a wildebeest and a hartebeest, and then you will get an impala, a blesbuck, and a warthog or a steenbuck. And that's the standard package that we offer, which is cheaper than most elk are. It's like $5,200 for that package. And the difference also is here, if you get an elk, you get a tag, you might not get your elk.
Right.
In Africa, you will get your shot.
Right.
How well you shoot is going to be up to you, but you will get your shot.
Right.
That's the difference. So it's actually crazy. A lot of people that walk past us at the shows, they don't want to look at Africa, so they think it's unaffordable. And then they see the prices, and they're quite shocked by how affordable it is. And airfares and taxidermy are your only other costs. We have no other hidden costs. So that's it. Your airfares right now from New York, I believe, are only about $1,000 to Joburg. I think it's 1.5 out of Atlanta. And then your taxidermy depends on how you have it done. Shoulder mount, full mount, so on. And we give you those prices up front so you know what you're looking at. So it's quite an affordable hunt. People don't realize it. It's not a train wreck to come out there. And then we have a list of upgrades, the kudu and all the other animals that you have. And you can mix and match if you want to. Nothing is written in stone. Or you can have an add-on, which a lot of people do. And, then you've got the big 5, which is a different ball game. The big 7, I call them, because I add on hippo croc.
Okay, and tell us what those big 7 are for people that may not be aware what they are.
Okay, elephant, rhino, buffalo, lion, leopard. In South Africa, we can do a buffalo add-on. As quite often you find people that come for plains game want to also go for a buffalo, or they come for plains game first, and the next choice will be a buffalo. That's very common. In South Africa, fortunately, we can add on a buffalo. So like a 3-day hunt, we can get a buffalo. Whereas if we go, I come from Zambia originally. I was in Rhodesia during the war there. So I have what we call concessions up there in hunting areas that we go. And those are called classic hunts. So if you go for a classic buffalo, it'll be a minimum 7 days. And that's different. In South Africa, we can do it as an add-on to the plains game. Up north, it's a hunt in itself on the big 5. Yeah.
Gordon, I want to jump off topic just for a second.
Sure.
You just mentioned Rhodesia.
Yeah.
Were you military?
I did my basics, and then I shot top 10 for Rhodesia. So
Okay.
I was used.
Okay.
If
All
you
right.
understand. Okay.
All right. Gotcha. Enough said. All right.
All right.
Sorry.
All right. Okay. So tell us, you mentioned a little bit about the cost. We'll cover that a little bit more. So let's talk about what's included outside of the hunt. So we come do the hunt. There are several animals that you can choose. There's a list. You pick how many days you want to hunt, how many animals you want to take. And in my case, I hunted the 5 animals, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
but I ended up taking an extra 2 or 3 while I was there. But what's included outside of the hunt? So someone comes in, they drop, I think it's about $5,200 now for the package. It was $4,900 back in 2014, so it hasn't increased a whole terrible lot.
It'd still be $49 if you come 2 hunters.
Okay.
If you come 2 on 1, we put the price down. There is one thing worth mentioning that you took advantage of. I started it many years ago as a meat for the poor operation, where for $150 you can take an impala ewe. For $500 you take a wildebeest cow, and you can still keep the horns and the skin. And then you take that meat yourself personally to the kids in the local village and the orphans there, and it's an amazing experience as you experience yourself. They sing and they dance.
Yeah,
that's quite a blast. So there's that part of it as well. But what was the other question you asked me about?
Well, tell us what's included. So when they show up for the hunt, they're going to be staying there. What's included? Tags, licenses, what comes in that package
all
price?
Inclusive. That's all inclusive. I have a lodge. I have bush camps, 2 bush camps, chalets, tents, and rondavels. It's fully catered, everything laid on. We pick you up from Polokwane free of charge. We drop you off there. The flight, you get a connection flight from Johannesburg to Polokwane. It's a 1-hour flight. But that's why I said earlier that there's no hidden costs here. You get maid service, laundry service. We make you feel at home. I know it sounds corny, but you'll come as a client. You'll go away as a lifelong friend. Everybody does. And I'm going to warn you, Africa bites you. You'll be back. Everybody comes back.
That's not the only time I've heard that personally. when Africa gets in your blood, it's in your blood.
Yes, that's right.
I have a friend a couple friends actually, who served in the Rhodesian Army and have worked with them throughout the years on my contractor occupation. I'm not going to call it a career, but and they every time we every time we're around each other, we talk about coming down and doing a hunt. And they said, "Hey, you're going to move down, mate.
Yeah,
you'll move down here, mate, if you like it enough."
Yeah.
But no, I mean, being an avid outdoors person myself, being a gun person myself, and talking to Sean about his experiences with you, that sounds exactly to your point you just made of you come down there as a client and you leave a friend.
Yeah.
So when I was actually driving out here, actually Sean was like, my buddy Gordon from South Africa wants to come in, and we're going to sit down and talk with him on the narrative. So I was super excited to finally get to meet you, because I've heard a whole bunch about you. So
yeah, it's all true, I'm afraid.
So you mentioned bringing delivering meat to the villages for the kids, and and I've gotten in a lot of heated keyboard battles with anti-hunters, anti-gun people, and I think that's a point that we don't see or hear about. I'm sure you've seen some of the news furies of a couple years ago about a teenage girl went down to South Africa with her dad and hunted. I don't know exactly what she hunted, but pictures were circulating on the internet, and she was getting, I mean, there were some pretty vile things.
Yeah, she got a lot of flack. I saw that.
Yeah, I mean, from people that claim to be these social warriors and these, everybody gets along and how dare you people, but they're saying things to a 14-year-old girl that shouldn't be said.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Can you speak more to not just the humanitarian side, I guess, for lack of better terms, of bringing that meat to these villages, but what about stimulating the local economy?
Yeah, that, and along those lines, talk to us about the numbers of animals and how they're helped through the conservation efforts, because that's one thing you spoke with me in depth about when I was there.
It's a debate I've never lost. I've been promoting conservation hunting for so many years, and I've traveled 60 countries around the world, and I've had this debate in all 60 countries, and I've never yet lost this debate, simply because of the facts. I mentioned earlier on about the success story of game ranching in South Africa. We are now my country, Zambia, has 20% put aside for its wildlife. So does Zimbabwe, so does Botswana. South Africa, although it has the best expertise when it comes to managing wildlife, only have 6% of their land put aside for wildlife, which is pretty dismal. I mean, we got Kruger Park, I know, but it's pretty dismal. The hunting now in Africa, you cannot go to a hungry man and preach ideology and conservation to him. He's going to laugh at you. If you talk about the bottom line, if you say to him, this is going to pay, then it stays. If it pays, it stays. Once money started being generated in this industry, in this business, in the hunting industry, all the farmers that had cattle and goats and sheep on their farms got rid of them and started bringing the animals back that belong there. And what people forget, it's not just the kudu and the giraffe. It's the chameleons, it's the birds, it's the tortoises, it's everything else that lives on that land.
Everything in that circle of life.
That circle of life. And once these people see that there's more value in the game than there is in the goats and the sheep, and they don't belong there because we've got to poison them, we've got to feed them, we've got to get water that we don't have. I keep telling people, South Africa, our biggest export is our topsoil from the agricultural practices.
Wow.
And I get vegetarians that will then come up to me and say, oh, but we like, we vegetarians like, and I say, okay, well, that's cool, that's fine. If you're a vegetarian on dietary grounds, that's fine. I said, but if you're a vegetarian on moral grounds, because you think you got the high road because you're saving animals, where the hell do you think your grains, your cereals, your vegetables, your fruits come from? We have to clear millions and millions of hectares of land in Africa that, we're only 12.5% arable in South Africa. Then we got to take billions of tons of synthetic fertilizer and put it in that land. Then we got to take billions of tons of herbicide and put it in that land. Then we got to take billions and billions of tons of insecticide and spray those crops and all that stuff to feed you, where wildlife used to roam. And then we got to take very scarce water. In South Africa, we are critically scarce on water. And a center pivot next to me that does potatoes will use more water in a week than I will in a year. And I mean, we're going down from 10 meters underground water now to 300 meters. We're running out of water.
Wow.
And it's all because of agricultural practices, which game farming doesn't do. And these animals belong there. They've been there for centuries. And I sail the South African coastline. I've got a boat and I sail there. You get to a major river like the Tugela, 10 miles before you get to that river, the sea is brown from the topsoil we're losing because of agricultural practices, which game farming doesn't do. So, you know, they don't have an argument, the anti-hunter. They're a menace. They put so much pressure on our policymakers to try and stop us or close us down. I mean, what do they want in its place? Do they want these agricultural farms? And then I say to them, okay, you eat beef that's full of hormones, full of poisons, has to take food, has to take water, shouldn't be there. Why don't you eat venison? You've tasted venison yourself. In Africa, it's really good eating, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's healthy meat, it's fat-free, no poisons, no hormones, and those animals belong there. So why don't we promote the animals that belong there as healthy eating? And what happens is you get somebody in England or America who sits there cutting and eating his piece of steak, judging somebody in Africa who eats elephant that's been eating elephants for centuries. Who the hell are they to tell these people they cannot eat their elephant? It's a resource for them. It has been for centuries. So they must get off their high horse and go to the abattoir where they live and go and see how their cattle are brutally slaughtered and then come and talk. Because they buy it very
drugged first, then slaughtered.
And then slaughtered. Nicely, neatly packaged in a little piece of polystyrene. So they don't take responsibility for the meat they eat. As hunters, we do. We take responsibility for what we hunt and what we eat. And nothing in Africa goes to waste. Absolutely nothing. Rhodesia, in the early days, started an operation called the Campfire Operation, which is one of the biggest success stories in conservation, where you got a village that's paying a poacher for that elephant. So we went to them and said, look, we've got an American hunter that'll come here. We will selectively get which elephants we want to take. You get the meat for free. You do not have to pay for that meat at the poacher. Plus, you get 25% of the take cash in hand. And you talked about the income generated into these countries. It's now $1 billion industry. It's an enormous amount of foreign money that these people desperately need. So we didn't have to do the poaching because the villagers knew who the poachers were. They stopped the poaching because we said to them, if you guys don't stop the poaching, we go somewhere else. We don't come back here. And it worked incredibly well in Rhodesia. And we took that whole system through to Mozambique, and it's starting there as well. And in Africa, it's not this ideological thing that people have in their concrete jungles. It's a natural process. It's a natural, normal, healthy thing. And the other thing is we do not apologize for being hunters. That is what we naturally are. They did an experiment some years ago where they took an enclosure and they put 10 rats in that enclosure with water resources and nests and so on. And then they took the same size enclosure and put 100 rats in there with concrete and also water resources. And the 10 rats behaved naturally as rats do. The 100 rats started having male-on-male copulation. They started eating their own babies. They got very violent. They started attacking each other. And what's happening now is that these rats in the concrete jungle are telling the 10 natural rats what they do is wrong. And the media is 80% liberal, unfortunately, and so we've got a lot of flack. I mean, I heard at one of the shows, they said that for every $1 we have to promote hunting, there's 100 against us.
Yeah. And I think we're seeing that becoming more and more prevalent in the firearms industry here in the United States, especially with this most recent unfortunate and ridiculous act of whatever. Sean and I were talking about it earlier of what happened in Florida with this latest
with the children, yes,
with the kids.
Heartbreaking stuff.
And we could go down a rabbit hole with that as far as reasons and what we think is the root problem. But I think the main point of the $100 against us to the $1 for us, the main point of that is the lack of education, right? The lack of information that is out there that is presented to the general populace. And the people, there's always going to be the people that don't care regardless, right? They're not going to listen to Gordon Brace's facts about the economical benefits, the conservationism, everything that goes into the big picture. They're not going to listen to it because they're closed off to it. But like Sean said at the beginning of our show, we want to talk to the people that are like us, that have either thought about it or haven't thought about it, but they're now like, I'm gonna go down there and do this.
Yeah.
So,
expand, if you will, a little bit on the numbers of animals that may be at risk. If I recall, when I was there in 2014, I think we'd had a little discussion about the number of elephants as far as population. Has that situation changed any? Because there was a hunt back in the time, I think, that got quite a bit of publicity about elephants, and you had told me some interesting numbers about healthy elephants versus non-healthy, and being able to support that. Can you go any deeper on that?
The other fact that is undisputable is that the areas that have stopped hunting have lost their animals because it has no value to those people. The areas that have hunting...
I'm going to say that one more time. It's
okay.
Just so everybody catches it.
All right. The areas that don't have hunting, for the prime example is Kenya. I mean, Kenya had this huge, big fanfare when they banned hunting. And, everybody and all the news and media were, this is wonderful. Well, what they don't tell you now is that Kenya has lost 75% of its wildlife since they banned hunting, because it has no value. Why must they keep it? If they're going to have people coming along in their safari suits once in their lifetime to photograph a lion or an elephant, means nothing to them. It has no value to them. So the wildlife there is gone. In southern Africa, where we have ownership of our land and of the wildlife, the business is booming. The wildlife industry is booming. So it has value. So the numbers have increased dramatically. And some of the insanity that's happened is that Botswana is a good example, where there was good hunting in Botswana. And they got to the president there, and he closed hunting in Botswana. Now, I've just come back from there. I've just been there recently. Up in the Chobe area, I can show you photographs of that area when I did safaris there 25 years ago, and you see it now. You will not recognize it at the same place because of the devastation by 130,000 elephant.
Wow.
It's crazy. I mean, it's insanity. And those elephants don't just destroy that land for themselves. They destroy the land for everything else that lives there. Now, those people up there, those villagers could use that meat. I mean, we need to get in there and cull those elephants. We need to get their numbers down. But because of the pressure from, I'm sorry to say, ignorant people who just don't have a clue, it's a feel-good thing for themselves. They sit in their concrete jungles looking at wildlife through their little window in their television, and then they judge us by that, and then they get on with their lives, and then they write a petition. But I can tell you this, I've had this debate, as I said, with a lot of these so-called anti-hunting people, and at the end of it, I'll say to them, okay, I've got a hunter that's ensured the survival of an ecosystem, my place, the entire system. Because of the money he pays, I can keep that place as it should be natural. What have you done? Can you tell me in the next 10, 20 seconds, what have you done for wildlife other than sign a petition on Facebook? Have you done anything? And in those 20 seconds, they lost. They're gone. They don't have a leg to stand on. It's easy. It's a feel-good thing. It's like, it's a cliche to bleat, to belong to that club. We do more for wildlife than they ever will. So all the areas that have hunting, wildlife is thriving. You take your rhino now, which is under serious threat because the premier of China said it cured his cancer. And the amount of rhino from like 30 a year has now gone up to almost 1,000 a year. And we're under siege. But what people forget is 40% of those rhino are in private hands. And Kruger is the main target for rhinos now. So what happens now if you close down the rhino projects that the private people have, and Kruger gets its rhino wiped out? What are we going to left with? A bloodline that's going to be so thin there'll be no coming back from it. if you go and say to those guys that are keeping the rhino, look, this rhino's not worth keeping anymore, what's he going to do? He's going to get rid of them. It's
Right.
just nonsensical, you know. So the numbers that we have in Southern Africa are extremely healthy in wildlife due to hunting. There is no argument. There is no debate. It is a fact.
So let's touch again, if we can, on the food for the poor. So I'll say that my wife and I did this, and it's hard to put into words what you see and what you experience while you're there. And without getting on a soapbox, let's just say you go into an area that's it's a rough living condition. It's rough for the school children, and they're happy. They're happy the whole time you're there. They're smiling, and it's such a stark contrast to what we have here from a physical standpoint. But you see these kids, and you look in their faces, and they're just happy, and they interact with you, and you're providing something for them. That's an amazing feeling, especially because, again, I'm not a hunter. I don't go out and hunt and put stuff in my freezer and feed my family, so to speak. But to have that opportunity to go and do this for them, that's one of the things that literally changed me while I was there. What's the percentage of the people that actually take advantage of doing that? If you could put a number, how many people actually?
90%.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, very few don't. Very few don't. And they don't do it for fanfare. They don't do it for recognition. They don't do it for media hype. They do it out of the kindness of their hearts. I had the BBC come last year and do a full-on 2-week documentary on my views on hunting and conservation and so on, and they arrived full of attitude. They actually left with a very different attitude after 2 weeks. They actually said, my argument was actually very compelling. And a lot of what they put in the documentary was half of what I said and not the complete story of what I said. They did leave something out. But I will say they didn't do a complete hatchet job. And one of the things that the presenter did say was when she saw the kids, she went to this wonderful old lady, you met her, Frederica, who runs one of the schools there, the creches. And she said to her, what is your major need? Is it books? Is it stationery? Is it buildings? What is it? And she turned around and she said, no, it's food. We need food. And these children are hungry. And she turned around to the camera and she said, well, this is more than I've ever done. And then she said, well, I wonder if in the beginning, she actually, when she heard we were doing this, she said, I wonder if they're doing this for my benefit for the BBC program, which actually annoyed me. Right. And I said, well, the guy that was with me, and you actually know him, Alan Brown, him and his wife went to one of the orphanages, and there's a lot of AIDS orphans there. And these kids had no shoes at all. And they were shocked by this. And they went and bought shoes for every single kid in that school. They did it without any fanfare. Nobody was there. It wasn't for recognition. It wasn't to impress anybody. The BBC was not there when they did that. They did it out of the kindness of their hearts. And it has been my experience that the hunters, the type of people that come hunting, are good people. They're kind-hearted people. Yeah. And it's a big thing. And it means a lot to these kids. You saw the menu. I mean, Monday they get chicken heads. Tuesday they get chicken feet. Wednesday they get porridge. You bring them. We brought enough meat the last time to feed 250 kids for a month. It just means
off
so
of
much.
one hunt?
Yeah, from one bunch of hunters.
Just,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a big thing, and it goes a long way. And like I say, they don't do it to impress anybody. They do it because they're kind people. Yeah.
And to that, man, like I've spent the majority of my adult life, or my entire adult life, in countries other than the United States, in countries to where shoes are taken for granted, right? So just this past Christmas, or right around Christmas time, over in Afghanistan, every year we do a coat drive, so to speak, for the small group of people that we have on our camp, that we collect as many coats as we can for the local village kids. And I simply put out a Facebook post, or we did one and then took some pictures, put them up on social media, and my hometown, like we're going and buying brand new like North Face jackets and, and dropping them off on my doorstep so my wife can send them over. And again, people generally want to help, so long as other people will get out of their way, and I think that the case of like you said, the media and the people who've never been to South Africa or anywhere outside of their suburban homes or their concrete jungle condos, speaking to people in the United States and as well as other developed countries. Yeah. So, where the other argument that we hear from those people are you're hunting or you're killing endangered animals, and it doesn't matter what species of animal it is, so long as it's in Africa. Apparently, it's on the endangered species list.
Yes.
What do you say to those people? Other than you're an idiot, stop talking out of turn. You don't know what you're talking about. Quit.
Yeah, it's nonsense. I mean, a lot of people are brainwashed by the media, unfortunately. And then they go. The other thing, of course, is they humanize these animals. That they watch Bambi and they watch The Lion King, and so it's like when Cecil the lion was killed. 2 years after the fact, Oxford University finally admitted that lion was collared by them. It was past its prime. It wasn't an illegal hunt. It was outside of the park. And everything that man did was on the up and up, and they crucified him, the media. That was all media hype. And they called it Cecil their favorite, Zimbabwe's favorite lion. 99.99999% of Zimbabweans had never heard of Cecil. More people around the world heard of Cecil than the Zimbabweans themselves. So I said to them, well, didn't they know that Zippy the zebra thanked us for killing Cecil because he ate Tina and Tammy, their little kid? So there is this.
You want to humanize it and make it a Disney story.
Make it a Disney story.
Yeah.
It's not Hollywood. Africa is not Hollywood. The African bush is not Hollywood. There's a reality there that these people are so divorced from that they don't really have a clue about what nature is about. And it was interesting in a study I saw where you talked about earlier on about the fringes of people. On the one hand, you've got people, hunters, that, to put it kindly, they should, they give us a bad name because they are just killers. They don't have any conservation ethics. They are those guys. And on the other side, you've got the real anti-hunting lobby and anti-gun lobby. In between, from what I've been told, there's like 60% of the populace that really don't give a damn. And if they spoken to, for the most part, most of them say, well, they're okay with hunting if it's hunting for meat. It's the trophy hunting they have a problem with because they don't understand it. They don't understand why somebody wants to go and shoot something and take the horns back and put it up on their wall. Well, that's fine if you don't understand it. I mean, I don't understand rap, but I don't think you should ban it. I mean, it's and if we harvest an animal and we go out and we shoot something, nothing goes to waste. All the meat is used. Now, you can leave those horns in the bush to rot if you want to, but some people like to take it as a memento for their hunt. And
especially if they've never been out of their home country.
Yeah. And it makes a wonderful trophy. And it's not like they're shooting 1,000 animals and sticking 1,000 horns and heads on their walls. It's that one animal, special animal, as a memento for what they got. So okay, if you don't understand it, that's fine. And if you don't want to do it, that's also fine. I got no problem with people. But don't go to the policymakers and force them to close us down with the pressure that you make about something you don't understand at all. That's why I have a problem with this. There is nothing about hunting that is unnatural and that is wrong. Everything about it is good, it's healthy, it's wholesome, it's natural. You can sit in a car, you can sit in your lounge and look at wildlife through your little box. You can even go to a game reserve. And don't get me wrong, Kruger National Park is fantastic. I never tire of it.
Yeah, we went while we were there.
Yeah. And that's the other side of what we do. But you can go and sit in a car and you can look at animals through your little window in the car too, which is fantastic. But actually coming with me onto my place, walking with the animals, stalking them is participating. You're getting back to nature. You're doing what you do instinctively. being a hunter is normal. It's natural. And then we get in and you become part of nature. You return to being a natural part of nature. And that's
Right.
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, question: is a zebra a horse?
No, it's like a jackal is not a dog either.
Everyone says that a zebra is a horse, and I get beat up a little bit on taking a couple of those, and I've tried to explain this, and I lack the knowledge, but
So that's the first I've heard that. What is the difference between a horse and a zebra?
Well, it is equine. I mean, but it's the one is domesticated, the other one is wild. But it's not a wild horse. We do get wild horses, but it's again this thing about the human beings where we look at something that's ugly and we dismiss it, and we look at something that looks beautiful and we put it on a pedestal and we call it an iconic animal.
Right.
So
Like a
people
unicorn.
call an elephant an iconic animal, but they call a warthog. It's like.
yeah.
So it's this human thing again, where we look at zebra and we take them out of the equation of wild animals. No, they're part of the wildlife, just like everything else. I mean, if a lion is hunting and he sees an impala, he doesn't go, that one's too beautiful, I'll leave that one alone. Oh, there's a zebra, he looks like a horse, I won't touch him. Oh, there's a warthog, I'll eat him because he's ugly.
Right.
We humans do this.
Let's go into some other things. So while we were there, I did a 7-day hunt, 5-day-ish, and then we did a little tour on top of it, where we actually got off the facility, spent a few nights in some other places, and saw quite a bit more of South Africa. So we did Kruger National Park, and I want to talk about some of those other things in the area, because this is the thing that we try to explain to people after returning from the trip, and still to this day. South Africa is unbelievably beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's vast. And 45-minute drive, after 45-minute drive, changes the landscape significantly.
That's right.
And it's hard to explain to people. I was in one area that was like, it's farmland. Then I was in a place that was just like the Grand Canyon. And then we were in this place, it was tea farms, and then these like, I forget what the white pine trees, or in Arizona, I forget what it's called.
Forest.
But
the pine forest.
You're just going through, so it changes every 45 minutes, something. And then some places kind of look like the Swiss Alps with the white rocks. And so just kind of touch on some of the other things that people, could do and see while they're there.
Yeah, South Africa is marketed as the world in one country, because it's so diverse. And as you correctly said, we've got deserts, we've got rainforests, we've got mountains, we've got valleys, we've got low veld, we've got high veld, we've got mid veld, we've got Indian Ocean, Atlantic Ocean. And you're right, it keeps changing. Every hour you're in a different area. The standard tour that we do is to the Blyde River Canyon, which is the third biggest in the world. And we take you up there. There's a lot of beautiful sights up there, as you saw yourself, waterfalls and mountain views. Stunning views there. And we do a bit of adventure safaris as well. If the guys have got time, we do whitewater rafting, abseiling, elephant rides, interaction with lions, all that kind of stuff. But the standard one is to go down to Kruger, and then we spend 2 or 3 days in Kruger, which is, if you're there, it's a must. It is one of the prime destinations in the world. In fact, we have to book quite early now to get in, because even though I have a wild card, which allows me preference, even I have to book in early, because it's such a popular destination. And Kruger is, I've been there countless of times, and it is really worth seeing. All the big five are there. We do also do tours up north, because we're quite close to Botswana, so we go through Botswana, the Okavango Delta. And if you want to rough it a bit, we can take you into where Africa was like in its heyday. I mean, the lions will walk into camp. We had an elephant come in and drink our bottle of vodka there the last time we were there. And
likes to party.
And you knew what he was doing. He's done it before, you could see. And then we go up to the Chobe River, where you can go in a really nice old colonial hotel, or you can go in one of the low budget places there. You go on sunset cruises, do some fishing on the great tiger fish, the best freshwater fish in the world for its size. A lot of game there too, the Chobe National Park. Then we go by Pont across the Zambezi to Victoria Falls. And we've got a lodge right on the gorge, just outside of Livingston. really beautiful, and a lot of activities at Victoria Falls. Best hubbly bubbly whitewater in the world.
So it is an outdoorsman's paradise. We've heard, like I've heard a million times. For the people that have done minimal research or that want to go, can I bring my 300 Win Mag, gas operated AR-10 platform rifle down there, or is there specific weapons or specific guns that I have to check and go through that?
The minimum I allow in my place is a 270 for African game. The 300 Win Mag is one of the most popular with Americans. I like the 30-06. 180 grain will cover most of these animals. You can bring a 220 for eland and the wildebeest maybe, but the 180 will put them down to. In Africa, what every American is astonished by, even when you tell them about it, is how tough African animals are. They can take punishment like you wouldn't believe.
Yes, they can. So
it's about hitting them in the right place. So
ethical shots.
Well, it's bring the rifle you're comfortable with. So one that you and I'm not buttering the Americans' bread, but I tell you this: most Americans shoot well because you come very well prepared. I don't often have wounded animals with American hunters. So for me, I just say bring the rifle that you're comfortable with. If you're coming for big 5, the minimum legal requirement is 375.
Okay.
For me, it's a little bit underpowered, but again, it's about placement.
Bolt action only. Semi-automatics
are
not allowed. No suppressors either.
Look, you can bring suppressors. I use them on my place, as some people do. So it's you can if you want to.
Sure, it's an ITAR type thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Win Mag. I used a Win Mag while I was there.
Yeah.
And everything I shot ran, no matter how good the shot was, except the one Impala that I called with the 308.
Yeah.
Dead right there. You want to expand upon your thoughts on the Win Mag at all in that situation?
The Win Mag's a little bit fast.
Okay.
It doesn't punch as much as the 30-06. It's but again with African animals, if an African animal drops right there, 999 times out of 1,000, it's a bad shot. You've spined him.
And I think that's what I did with that 308. It was dead right there.
I've seen wildebeest run 200-300 yards on a hard shot. Yeah. African animals will run if you hit him right in the heart lung area, and they sit forward. It's not like here where you shoot behind the shoulder. Here we shoot into the shoulder because it gives you a nice big target on the lungs. And if you miss the heart and it hits the lungs, I've seen wildebeest climb mountains on one lung. So sometimes that can happen, yeah. But they will always run. And, we look at the reaction of the animal. I will tell you immediately if it's a good shot or not, by the way the animal reacts. If he kicks out, trouble. That means it's gut shot. If he bucks in, then you're in the right area. So we pretty much have an idea. Then we go down, we stay quiet. We never chase an African animal because if they get that adrenaline, they will go for miles on that adrenaline, and it spoils the meat anyway. So what we do is we chill out, we relax, we get on the spoor, we track him down. African animals will nearly always run on a hard lung shot, yeah.
Interesting. So let's circle back around, unless you have any other questions.
I don't.
Okay. So if, again, tactical shooters, maybe you're just an occasional shooter. If you've wanted to hunt from a new guy's perspective, I personally would start on a hunting excursion like this because bang for the buck, you're going to get several animals, pretty much guaranteed, for a set price. Now it's not cheap, but if you go with 2 hunters, it's $4,900 for the 7-day, correct?
Yes, 5 animals, 7-day hunt.
So that includes all your licenses. That includes your food, your lodging.
Yeah.
They wash your clothes. They take care of all that type of stuff. So you literally show up with your guns, and that price takes care of it. The only thing that's not
Everything.
included is air, and that's about 14 to whatever, depending on what time frame. It was $1,600 for us.
Yeah.
That's not terribly expensive for what you get to hunt,
Yeah.
what you get to experience, because it is truly a vacation and a lifetime experience at the same time. So you're literally rolling up several things into a hunting trip like this. We want to talk about amenities. When we left Johannesburg and we flew into Polokwane, where you picked us up, I had assumed that I would be roughing it and that it was going to be desolate, and so I was prepared. And we get there, and there is a brand new mall. It's one of the largest malls I've ever seen in my life, with two massive grocery stores anchoring either end of it. They have attendants out in the parking lot guiding you where to park your car.
I hope my wife is listening to this, because
it's
gonna
modern.
be easy sell.
Yeah, it's modern. It's a total brand new mall with everything, Wi-Fi on the inside. I was floored. I thought we were going into the middle of nowhere. So it's nothing like that at all.
No. There's this strange third and first world in South Africa, living side by side. Yes, the cities are, infrastructure is very advanced, very sound. And once you get out into the bush, then it's different. I mean, once we're out there, but my lodge is very comfortable, very neat. I do have bush camps. If we're going for Big Five, and if somebody wants to rough it, if we get somebody who really wants to go to the rough stuff, we'll take him to those places. But, and you mentioned your wife. In fact, we're getting a lot of female hunters in the last 6, 7, 8 years, and they do very well. That's growing almost now 15, 20%.
Wow.
And in the beginning, it was very much a boys' club. And when the guys used to come back in the day, and then it was kind of roughing it a bit. Once we started building this industry and we started getting our nice lodges, the first thing the hunters would say when they arrived was, "Wow, my wife would love this."
Right.
And then the next time she'd bring her with. And then they talk to other women, and the other one, "Oh, I want to check this out," and then they'll come out. So almost inevitably these days, the wives come, and we have things for them to do. That meat for the poor. We've had ladies that have never hunted before. We'll take them out for an impala or something, and they can try and get an impala for the kids, and they enjoy that. This gives them an experience. If they don't want to do it, that's also fine.
Yep.
But they can join us on the hunt. They can go back if they want to. I'll get one of the trackers, will pick them up. We've got sites around that they can go and enjoy and see. There's 3 swimming pools. There's a sun deck. We look after you. Yeah.
It's a very nice large villa. It's like staying at a relative's house. Extremely comfortable.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that was going to kind of segue into my next question. Obviously, you've covered the lodge and you kind of answered my question without me asking about security. But say I'm that guy that wants to come out and rough it. Security as it pertains to predator animals, security as it pertains to poachers, security as it pertains to common criminals in the area. For those listening out there that are hyper security minded, what protocol, what countermeasures are in place? Is there an active police force? Are they hired contractor types that will just keep an overwatch and make sure everything's on the up and up at these bush camps, or is it just be hyper aware of your surroundings and don't wander off?
The major deterrent is me.
There you go. And there you have it.
No. I'm not going to kid you. Johannesburg is a cesspit of crime. It's renowned for its crime. The one thing is that when we had the World Cup soccer, the airport was revamped, and it is a world-class airport. There's full-on security at the airport. You actually have no problem there at all. You're quite fine. And they had to do that because that's where people arrive. That's their first impression of South Africa. And then you take a hop. If you do have to stay over, there's a hotel right there. You walk straight into it, so you're quite safe.
Right there in the airport?
At the airport, yeah.
Okay.
And there's a hop then across to me. When you get to me, we pick you up and we take you out. My place, we don't lock a door. We leave keys in car. There's absolutely no incidences on my place. You're very safe.
If you get to Gordon's place to do anything, you are very, very committed to the cause.
Right on.
That's not an easy task.
Yeah. It's as far as predators go, I mean, I do have hyena on my place, and there's the brown hyena and caracal and jackals. But I purposely did not put any of the dangerous animals on there, because I have families coming to my place. They go horse riding, they go cycling, they can go walking. You are completely safe. The best time to come hunt is our winter, your summer.
Okay.
It's cool to cold at night, but never freezing. You might need a jacket around the campfire. Early morning, you might need a jacket, but by 8:30, you peel off, and then it gets hot, but not excessively hot. You'll need a wide. You will need sunblock. You know, it's blue skies, no rain, a really nice time to come. So there are no snakes then at all. There's no bugs at that time of the year. All the snakes are hibernating, so you don't have to worry about them either.
All right, so I know when I'm going because I hate snakes,
Oh,
especially one with fangs that'll bite you.
I'll cure you of that. But I am a herpetologist as well, so
Oh, really?
yeah.
Oh.
So, I gave lectures in the Rhodesian War about treatment of snake bite, identification, that kind of stuff, to the police and the army and so on.
I can't.
So you'll be in safe hands.
All right.
So there's no, if I take you on a big 5 hunt, that's different. That's why you go on a big 5 hunt. There is an element of danger. You know, I've lost a couple of friends this past season, and you know, you pay your money, you take your chances.
That's right.
And you do sign an indemnity form. We encourage you not to read the small print. But
So it's much like jumping out of an airplane that we're going to drag Sean out of this spring and summer.
Sure.
yeah, no, you're
Don't
pretty
read
much
the fine print.
You're pretty much safe. Yeah, don't read the fine print. It's the poaching I get. And once the hunting season starts, we don't get poachers.
Okay.
Because they know we're active in the field. If I do get poaching, I'm so far from the main road that most of the poaching is on the main road. They come in, they
Quick
come
in,
for
quick out.
quick in, quick out. They
Okay.
come in with dogs for my warthogs. They are panny-anny poachers. They're not that serious. There is a well-kept secret quite close to us, which we will show guys that come. One of my neighbors has, and we keep the location secret because of the poaching. He has 64 rhino, and we will take you there, and you'll see 64 rhino.
That is awesome.
It's quite amazing, and because of that, we have a very active anti-poaching unit in the area.
Very good.
And I get the fallout from that. So, you know, there's no 100% guarantees anywhere in the world, but in my place, you're pretty much safe.
Awesome.
There's nothing to worry about.
Again, I like to drive fast and take chances as it is. So, I mean, that was more for the ones that were like, well, it's Africa. And, you know, like Sean said, when he went in there thinking he's going to be out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, that's just something that the people that very rarely leave the United States, I mean, that's what they think.
Yeah.
You know, we go to Africa, and Africa's the same.
Yeah.
From coast to coast to border to border.
That's right.
You know, so just to kind of clear that up. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Information. If someone wants to research your facility, where did they go?
Gordon at zulanisafaris.com.
We will put that up on the Brass Tacks website.
Yeah.
We will also include information on the hunt that I went on, the experience with photos and information on how to get a hold of Gordon. I really can't suggest this strongly enough. It's absolutely changed my life. I know that sounds odd, but it's 100% true. I went into this not knowing how I was going to respond because, you know, I was an avid shooter, not much of a hunter. I didn't know how any of it was going to go, and totally got addicted. I'm ready to go back to Africa as soon as I can. I was hoping to do it every other year, but, you know, things change, finances get different. So, but definitely highly suggest looking up Zulani Safaris. Do you have anything to add, Scott?
No, other than next time you go, I'll be sitting right next to you on that airplane.
Oh, I'm going to hold you to that.
When he came back and was talking about it, I'm like, I'm on the next one. It's been on my bucket list for a long time.
It's truly amazing.
Do you have social media at all, or you just have the?
I do, but I don't use it that much.
Okay.
My daughter is setting up something right now, but I do have a website.
Okay, cool.
We can do that. I will be at the Boat and Travel Show that's on in Indy now. So if anybody wants to come there, I'm not in the hunting section. I'm in the tourist section.
Okay.
So he's at the Indianapolis Boat and
Travel Show.
Show.
Yeah.
And that's like there's a couple weeks. We got about 10 days.
There's about 10 days.
10 days.
Yeah.
Zulani Safaris.
Zulani
you have a
Safaris.
booth? Okay.
Yeah.
Means the wandering wise man.
Excellent.
Zulani means the wandering wise man.
That's awesome.
Do you local phone number?
Sure. We'll give you a phone number so that if you want to reach out to Gordon while he's in the States, give him a call and talk to him. Talk to him about the packages, the other things that can be done just to get general information or just to find out more about him. It's again, I can't suggest this highly enough. It's an incredible experience.
Thanks for the recommendation. I appreciate it.
It's all real. Thank you.
The number, my local number in the next 10 days in the US will be 814-233-2645.
Say that one more time for us.
814-233-2645.
Excellent. Gordon Brace, I want to thank you for coming on the Narrative Unsuppressed Gun Talk Radio.
Yeah, it's been great, man. Super informative, and I can't wait to get down there. So
I look forward to having you down there.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome, guys.
Thank you.
And thank you. Right back at you.
All right, we're out of here.